So my name is Huw Ringer, and I am the CEO of Smart Associates. That's a really good question. We're an international company that specializes in big data analytics. We operate in Europe, in Australasia. We've got people and customers really all over the world in the retail, finance, telco, government, media spaces. So that's what we do. Well, I'm not sure how important it is, but I guess these days my role is more strategic than operational. So what I'm focused on is trying to figure out where we can add value in the future. So what's going to be relevant and important in our space in the future, and how can we address that? So for example, we've just recently formed a joint venture with Centrality, and it was me who's been driving that process for the last couple of months, because I can see that the future is going to be blockchain. So it's interesting. I think it's a couple of things. I think it's quite passionate in the sense that both ourselves and Centrality are passionate about the power of the blockchain and the opportunity that it can provide. I think the relationship is quite complementary, because frankly, Centrality can do things that we really can't do. I mean, it's just not at all in our expertise and experience. But equally, vice versa, we can do things that they can't as well. So it's very compatible. And then I think finally, it's quite intimate in the sense that forming a joint venture is about as close as two companies can possibly become without actually merging. And so there's a huge amount, I think, of trust and respect that we have for each other. So I think that pretty much summarizes the relationship that we have. So specifically with the joint venture, we've got a whole pipeline actually of products that we have in mind that we're working on. But to begin with, we're focusing on bringing big data analytics to the blockchain. And specifically helping any companies that are going through an initial coin offering or a token generation event, trying to help those guys to be more successful in that process. And the way that we do that is we're basically pulling together millions of historical records of data, hundreds of data points, or variables or features that we're analyzing to build predictive models across social media feeds, industry segments, financial markets, and also different geographies. And we're pulling all of this data together in order to be able to build predictive models that can help anybody going through a token generation event or initial coin offering process to be able to accurately predict how it's going to turn out, and to be able to tweak and tune the process before it completes. So that's the first thing we're working on, and there's a lot of exciting stuff in the in the pipeline as well for the future. I think in the short term, our target customers is anybody really who is well, first of all, it's going to be, I think, customers in the Centrality ecosystem is going to be our primary focus to begin with, helping those guys to get their ICOs and TGEs out the door. But beyond that, more broadly, we'll be helping any customers to tune and to be successful with their ICOs and TGEs. And in the longer term, what we want to provide is insights to anybody who wants to analyze transactions and contracts and commerce that occurs on the blockchain in general. So that's kind of how we see it in the short, medium, and longer term. pretty much what we do is we're able to help our customers turn data into money, into or competitive advantage or both. If you look specifically at the token generation event, initial coin offering support process, if we can help that to be successful, then we can help those customers to be able to achieve their vision. So I think it's a combination of those things. I think it has to be the sloth, the reason why I think goes back to something I think it was Bill Gates said actually, which is he'd always rather hire someone who was lazy than someone who was highly active. And the reason why is because it's the lazy guy who always tries to find a smarter, better, easier way to get things done, rather than trying to kind of over-engineer stuff and make things more complicated than it needs to be. So I guess kind of that's my motivation, is to try to get results more quickly without making it more complicated.